In today's Black Clover video, we talk about the identity of the fourth Zogratis sibling and why he could possibly be Julius chrono. Also, only a small percentage of the people who watch our videos are actually subscribed, so if you end up liking this video, consider subscribing. Please enjoy this video, let's go! Anyone who's watching our videos for a while should know our videos about Julius chrono, where we explain why he could possibly be possessed by the time devil. With the revelation that there is a ruler of the underworld who uses time magic, our theories suddenly became much more likely. And with the latest reveal of a fourth Zogratis sibling, we have no choice but to ask one important question: could the fourth Zogratis sibling somehow be Julius chrono? So the latest chapter of Black Clover has revealed that the Zogratis siblings actually have an eldest brother, who is the fourth Zogratis, making the Dark Triad actually a Dark Tetrad. The Dark Tetrad is just like the Dark Triad, a concept in psychology that shows evil personalities. In fact, it is even an extension of the Dark Triad, and thus directly connected to one another. Due to the fact that we can definitely confirm that the Dark Triad in psychology is the inspiration for the personality of the Dark Triad in Black Clover, it can be assumed that the fourth Zogratis family member will not only expand the sibling number but also the concept in psychology. The three Dark Triad personalities in psychology are narcissism, psychopathy, and Machiavellianism. Dante undoubtedly represents narcissism. Narcissism is characterized by self-love behavior that is distinguished by an unusual coolness and serenity. Narcissists tend to have great self-esteem because they feel superior to those around them. For example, the way Dante decided to make Vanessa and Gray his wives, without even thinking that they might not be interested in him, clearly shows that he's not even considering a no, but takes it for granted that every woman wants him. Or how he always wears a crown in public because he wants others to see how great he is, with which he tries to make it clear that he is above everyone. Many people think Zenon is the psychopath, but I absolutely disagree, as Zenon shows many more signs of Machiavellianism than Vanica, and that became very clear in the recent chapter. Psychopathy is defined as a lack of remorse for one's action without any empathy for others, which is often characterized by high levels of impulsiveness and thrill-seeking behavior. If Zenon was to represent psychopathy, he would not have cried when he killed Alan. However, Vanica shows no sign of understanding why her actions are wrong. Instead of understanding what she did to Noelle, she asked her if they are friends and rivals, completely ignoring that she was part of the reason Megicula killed her mother. Apologizing for her behavior is out of the question for her. This is simply because she lacks the ability to have empathy and a healthy understanding of what is right and wrong. She's also always on the lookout for the thrill and does things impulsively without thinking, just like a psychopath. All that remains for Zenon is to represent Machiavellianism. This personality displays manipulative and selfish behavior in which someone is so focused on their own well-being that they deceive and take advantage of others to achieve their own goals. Such people are often unemotional and cold with an indifference to all morals. And that is exactly the character description of Zenon. He literally sacrificed his best friend just to save himself and convinced himself that this was the only solution to survive. But with the new Zogratis sibling, the Dark Triad became the Dark Tetrad. And as mentioned earlier, this is actually another concept in psychology, the extension of the Dark Triad. The fourth personality is sadism, which makes the fourth Zogratis sibling the worst of all the Zogratis siblings. Sadism means enjoying other people's suffering. Such people usually don't have a specific goal, they just enjoy hurting others. Sadistic people are characterized by cruelty, humiliation, aggression, and intimidation. The worst thing about the fourth Dark Tetrad personality is that sadism shares a number of traits with the other Dark Triads. Sadistic people are not only sadistic, but often also psychopaths with narcissistic and Machiavellian behavior. So the fourth Zogratis is literally a mixture of all the Dark Triads plus sadistic behavior. But who could be the fourth sibling? To answer this question, you have to take into account that although we were introduced to his character, we did not see his face. This is a very important detail. Why did Tabata decide to hide the face of the fourth Zogratis sibling? This is not a normal approach to introducing a character. Lisita was also introduced in the same way, but the introduction of the fourth Zogratis sibling is completely different. Lisita's character introduction was a fuzzy memory, but the fourth Zogratis sibling was introduced with a clear backstory with dialogues and several those scenes. Most of the time when we see a character introduction with the face hidden, that character will either appear at some point later, but we are not supposed to find out that this character is actually someone we have seen before, or because this character is someone we already know, and the unveiling will come later. For example, imagine that the fourth Zogratis sibling is a new character we will get to know in the future, where we will not know that he's actually the fourth Zogratis sibling since we haven't seen his face. Or an example of the second option would be that the fourth Zogratis sibling is, for example, Julius chrono, but due to the fact that we have not seen the face of the fourth Zogratis sibling, we cannot know his true identity. These two options are most likely the reason why a character with a hidden face is introduced. The same goes for the leader of the Shining Generals. An interesting detail that caught my eye is the eye color of the Dark Triads. Vanica red, Dante green, and Xenon blue. This eye color scheme makes no sense at all, as siblings should have the same eye color. It is possible that one of the siblings have inherited the eye color from the father's side and one from the mother's side, but they all have 3 different eye colors. Also, you can't mix 2 of the 3 colors to create the third, so there's definitely something weird about the eye colors. Siblings definitely have the same eye color in Black Clover, as is the case with the Vermilions or the Silver siblings, but this is not the case with the Dark Triad. And if you think that red is a strange eye color for a person, so that this eye color may not be Vanica's original eye color, then you have to assume that the purple color of the Silver siblings is strange too. It's a manga, of course characters can have red eyes. The point is, it looks like Tabata was trying to make something clear with the choice of the eye colors. Either the Zogratis siblings are not real siblings but orphans, or the color of the eyes symbolizes something. The possible reference I have found is the RGB color model. The RGB color model is an additive color model in which the primary colors red, green, and blue of light are added together in different ways to reproduce a wide range of colors. And here's the interesting thing. Remember the personality concept of the Dark Triad of psychology, in which all personalities together create a fourth personality and thus an expanded concept, the Dark Tetrad? When we do the same with the RGB color model, something interesting happens. When we mix the 3 primary colors of the RGB model, red, green, and blue, we see the secondary colors where 2 of the 3 primary colors overlap. But combining all 3, red, green, and blue, in equal intensities results in white. And white eyes are basically the color of the blind, as milky white pupils are due to a type of blindness. Before my partner Yami continues, please take a short moment to like this video. With your support we can make more and better Black Clover content for you. Thank you.
The only blind character in Black Clover is Morris, who is actually possessed by a devil and even has the same devil markings as Dante, who is possessed by Lucifero, one of the 3 rulers of the underworld. But due to his interaction with Xenon, it doesn't look like they are related. It is confirmed that Morris lived his life in the Diamond Kingdom and also has white hair, so nothing really goes together to assume that he's the 4th sibling. But the white color doesn't just represent blindness. Colors in physics are described as the visible spectrum of light waves, with black and white not counting as true physical colors. And time is something that is not physical. When you think what color time is, you can always imagine time as in black or white. You immediately think of time magic, which is exactly the magic of the remaining ruler of the underworld, the time magic devil. And we can safely assume that the 4th Zogratis sibling is actually possessed by the time devil. So far we had a problem suspecting why the time devil didn't possess Vanica, but now with the latest reveal of a 4th sibling, this could make a lot more sense. We know that the 4th Zogratis sibling has already confirmed that he himself, like Xenon, is more talented at being possessed by a devil than Dante, who himself is possessed by one of the 3 rulers of the underworld, the devil of gravity magic, Lucifero. This could mean that Vanica was simply no more talented than Dante, which was clearly shown in the manga, and thus was unable to be possessed by any of the 3 rulers of the underworld. But Xenon, who is more talented, managed to be possessed by Beelzebub, and so we can assume that the 4th Zogratis member is also possessed by one of the 3 rulers of the underworld, as he is more talented than Dante. He literally has no reason to contact a devil below Lucifero if he is more talented than Dante. We can speculate a lot about which of the characters we already know might be possessed by the time devil, but the fact is that only one character in the entire series is known to use time magic, namely Julius chrono. It is just logically wrong not to even consider him when asked who might be possessed with the time devil. But Before we talk about Julius Nova Chrono, I want to mention that this video doesn't explain anything about whether Julius is bad or good. That is not the purpose of this video and would not only make it difficult to understand why Julius might be a Zogratis. We'll be doing a separate video on the same topic next week with all the new information revealed in the manga. So if you don't want to miss this and many more Black Clover videos, then subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell. Coming back to the video. However, his name itself represents time. Nova Chrono means new time. Chronos is either a time god or a time titan in mythology. How strange is that his family name, the name of time, is almost as if his parents used time magic too, which in theory wouldn't be unlikely considering that magic can be inherited. But what makes it unlikely is the fact that his magic seems to be extremely rare. So even when he received this grimoire, he was confused that it had no cover, and he didn't know that if this was good or bad. In general, if there is a family with time magic, then this family would most likely be very well known and powerful. But it doesn't look as if Julius could have any connection to any family clan which could explain his name Nova Chrono. It almost seems as if Julius gave himself the name Nova Chrono because it represents time and that this is not his real family name. And that actually calls into question his very existence. Why does someone need a fake name when he could use his real name? For example, if he were a Zogratis, then it makes sense why he would be interested in changing his name. A very important aspect that the 4 Zogratis siblings must have is a second magic attribute. Everyone always says that Julius Nova Chrono apparently has transformation magic, which is an indication that he has 2 magic abilities, namely transformation magic and time magic, and thus could possibly be possessed by a devil, since people possessed by a devil have 2 magic attributes, the magic attribute of the devil plus their own magic. But with the reveal of a 4th Zogratis sibling, we need to find a whole new approach to explaining how Julius Nova Chrono could not only be possessed with the time devil, but also explain how he could possibly be one of the Zogratis siblings. And here we know that Zogratis siblings have magic attributes that are part of every human body. Dante, body magic, Zenon with the bone magic, and Vanica with blood magic. Assuming Julius Nova Chrono has transformation magic, then this does not fit the concept of magic associated with the human body, which is the concept of the magical attributes of the Zogratis siblings. But it's important to mention one major misunderstanding here. Julius doesn't necessarily has 2 types of magic when considering transformation magic as a magical ability. While transformation magic could indeed be a separate magic, the fact that we already know that transformation magic is more of a sub-magic that can be used when there is a certain main magic attribute. We have already seen this in 2 cases. First, Grey. It has been confirmed that her transformation magic is actually not transformation magic, just something she can use based on her true magical essence. Number 2 is Rill, who has exactly the same ability as Julius Nova Chrono and Grey, which means that he can transform himself into any human appearance. So if you believe that Julius has 2 types of magic because he can use transformation magic, you even have to say that Rill and Grey also have 2 types of magic. But that doesn't make any sense. So why should we assume that Julius also has a second ability? I think that it is more likely that transformation is a sub-magic of a certain main magic ability. This means that Julius could actually have a second magical ability because it's hard to believe that time magic could allow Julius to use transformation magic. Perhaps Julius' transformation magic is just the result of his 2 magic, which is still unknown. And as mentioned earlier, we know that the magical abilities of the Dark Triads are body, blood, and bones, all things related to the human body. So maybe Julius has a magical ability that could have something to do with the human body, like cell magic or something similar, so that he might be able to use transformation magic. Due to the transformation magic, Julius can easily transform his black hair into blonde and generally look completely different from what he actually looks like. And now for the trickiest part, we know that the 4th Zogratis sibling is in a wheelchair, which suggests that something is wrong with his legs, or he's too old and and weak. We can assume he is not too old because based on the pictures we've seen, he may be in his 20s or be at least at his 30s. That being said, the only reason he could be in a wheelchair is because of his legs. But we know that the person possessed by a devil can exchange body parts with the devil, just as Asta did with his arm. So what if the fourth Zogratis sibling has simply made a pact with the time devil to get 2 functional legs so that he no longer has to sit in a wheelchair? Furthermore, we also need a reason why the fourth Zogratis sibling had to go to the Clover Kingdom. The most obvious reason for this is Yami and William. Zenon asked Dante why they waited 6 months before they could kidnap Yami and William, and the only thing that happened 6 months ago is the elf reincarnation, in which we know that William's body was able to separate from Patri's soul, thereby allowing William to be used as a source for the Clifford tree, because with Patri in his body, they could just change souls and the whole ritual would not work. This in turn is a red flag for Julius to actually be involved in the ritual, which would then explain why he allowed the elves to reincarnate in the first place. But before we talk too much about Julius, we have to end the video at this point because we would get too far from the actual topic. As mentioned, we are doing a video about Julius next week, so you better hit the subscribe button and don't miss that video out. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to smash the like button, and if you are new to our channel, make sure you subscribe with the notification bell turned on. See you guys in the next video. Yami out.